pretty well so far.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that idea. I think we creative all decided to do that. Back when Reese was on and they had the little.
Yeah.
Students, good morning, students.
Yeah, I never listened to it.
That's all I wanted to say. Okay, thank you.
Questions to Ms. Hall are Williams compliant? You filled up your.
We did.
You're
Mine-
okay?
Vice principal went through, as soon as Carmi emailed all those documents, we printed them out and he went around to all of the classes and hung them all up, make sure our maps are up.
I mean, curriculum wise, you're looking good. with
We're
your staff.
looking good, yes.
The only other question I have for you is challenges with staff on onboarding and your mentoring. You mentioned that. Where are you at with your mentoring with your new staff?
We've already, we have 2 staff that are being mentored and I think I sent, I don't know if it was Carmi or Dana, we have 2 people and one set is already set up and I've emailed them the others. It's ready. I think one of, oh, so they go like this. Yeah, so all of our teachers that need mentors have their mentors.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
I was just wondering about your in-class, I guess, old school teachers aides, staffing, if you have those positions filled or if those are
We
something that.
are on a continuous advertisement for those positions because we're just not seeing people applying for those. We have 2 LPs full-time that we're using and then we have maybe about 2 one-on-ones and the rest are subs that are very proficient at their jobs. So they're really good at on what they do for their one-on-ones, the children that they're connected to. And then teacher assistants, we don't have any of those. And but it's an ongoing project of mine because all of our K3 should be filled with teaching assistants to help the teachers.
We had talked last
TK.
year in Indian Ed about teaming up, not just with Hoopa L, but with the other schools
Yeah.
to do some classes to get people,
Yes.
prepared for the
Right.
tests that you have to take to be
Yeah.
on.
Well, so the part with that is I am going to start tutoring. I'm going to advertise it on the Hoopa Valley Facebook page. But what it is any kind of a test, people are intimidated by taking a 3-hour test.
But,
Yeah.
semi-test.
Yes, and so it's really not a 3-hour test. It's just a test. And basically, most people are reluctant to do the math part. And so they could do the English and the writing, it's the math part. And so luckily, the vice principal, as well as myself, were math teachers. And so we want to start tutoring people and say, have you ever wanted to work for the school district? We're going to have a tutoring session, but some of the community members told us after the dances would be best because the first part of the school is, lots of ceremonies are happening. So after that, so by next week, you should be seeing some tutoring advertisement happening in Hoopa L.
And last year, the site council or the people that were meeting, trying to get a site council.
Yep.
Were interested in making a TK playground.
They're
Since
ordering the
that is-
materials.
Okay.
Yes, so Miss Moon is on that and she's Dr. Kimball was supposed to order the playground equipment and then Missy's department was gonna install all of it, I guess. I don't know, but we did pick a place for it and it is gonna have a fence around it. And so
Because I just wonder, I always, as I have visited, it always concerned me how many kids were in that smaller playground area.
Yeah.
And the number of adult supervision that
Right.
was available.
Well, one of the things that I did is so that I'm perfectly clear, I had numbers with circles around them painted on the playground. So the classified staff and other staff can see when at 8 o'clock, here's number 4, go to number 4, and then that's your spot for 15 minutes. And so So it just helped people know where they need to go, but I did four, one on each corner. Because if you're standing on one side, you can't
can't
see
see
the
it.
other side, so.
Yeah, that concern between the TK up to third grade out at the same time.
Well, we changed the TK recess, and so they're going, TK and K are actually going together, and the other grades are going separate.
That was like another
Yeah.
thing that we were
Third
trying
grade,
to.
second graders running over the kindergartners, so yeah.
And like my grandson, he's a tall boy, he's a big boy, so. If he came running at you and you were.
Yeah. Collision, yeah.
I have a question. I wanted to follow up on a concern that I had heard.
Of course you may.
Can I be recognized?
Yes.
So the question, I wanted to follow up on concerns. I had had some calls from parents who were really, and I'm glad that you and Missy are both here. If we're talking about the playground, about the little black chips that are used because the kids are coming home really dirty. And a lot of calls have been coming in after this first week of school. So I know I'm not sure if I had emailed you or you, okay. To see if that could possibly be addressed. I don't know if you had gotten the message or not.
I never heard anything. All I ever hear is that they're toxic and they're not. They highly rate really high. So if you go on and you look up those chips, they rate really high. Your only other option is pea gravel. Pea gravel is going to be just as dirty. And
So I did see, I know in Reading, they do have playgrounds where they use the same material, but it's flat. And
Yeah.
It's not like those chips.
Hard in
Mhm.
place,
Yeah.
hard in place.
So it's just a suggestion. I know that parents have been concerned and I saw the little kids and they do look like they've been rolling around in the dirt.
In their brand new.
Yeah.
clothes.
Yeah.
And their little pink
They're-
dresses, they come back black.
Little black eyes. So I just wanted to follow up on that because I know I had you contacted.
That's a problem a lot. What we did down at the Head Start in Smith River, we have the same chips. And what we did is we took out, which is a major task to get rid of all those chips. Then we hired a Southern California company to come up because we got an extra grant from Head Start and they came up, prepped the ground and laid all that foam. It's
Yeah.
foam now. So when you
Okay.
fall, you're falling on foam and not something. Yeah, so that cost quite a bit of money.
it's very
So,
expensive.
yeah, very expensive and,
We
but
got 9 sites.
it saves elbows and head and stuff like that.
An
So-
outfit.
And clothes.
And fashion.
Yeah, and fashion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Rico.
I'm trying to get there. Back up. So, the beginning of the year went pretty well so far. We went out and we had to update all of the Chromebooks across the district, just so that way when kids got them in their hands, all their applications worked on them and everything. And we've been doing that most of the beginning, and there's about 1,000 of them, so those are fun. After we got done with that, now we're also in the middle of that. We're also getting our new Zoom phone system going. That's a little bit of late work. We gotta map out the whole site, or every single site, where every single phone is gonna be at, every single extension, all that good stuff. And then we've also been looking into a couple of new little things. I was just talking to Missy about it. We have some I already got contacted from a company talking about new, they're like, I guess that people call them vape sensors, but they're just an air quality sensor basically, and you can have them like trigger off and tell you stuff. So we kind of been looking into those. We got a couple for some demos. We're gonna look at those and see if that's something that maybe, I was talking to Mitzi and then I'll probably talk to Jude about it right now, about maybe looking at some of that stuff. We've also been getting ready we may have to come over and help out with some Chromebooks delivered until they get their librarians, since they don't have one yet. I know Orleans has sent out all their Chromebooks, it sounds like. right?
Except for one class,
Okay.
but yeah, but I know how to do it. Thank you for coming to help.
I'm not sure about Trinity Valley, we can come up and help out, but we can help out any sites with the Chromebook delivery if they need it. And once we get that done, then we can kind of start tightening up some other stuff. Once we get all the students their devices, I think all of our teachers have devices, except for like one, I think, in the whole district. But other than that, just been kind of grinding. Questions?
For the whole district.
Yeah, it's gonna be, we have to revamp it or else it's getting outdated a little bit.
About.
Okay. Go ahead. I just want to make sure you have it.
No, I'm not for you. I'm
Okay.
sorry. This is background. I just wondered about the company that provides those chips for the playgrounds. Are they aware that they're getting kids' clothes dirty and smudged?
That's the
on
first
their
I heard of the dirty.
Because it's gotta be some kind of paint or something. I know they say that they're high rated, but if they're letting, kids' clothes get dirty and ruined, it's gotta be some kind of paint that's getting smudged on there. They need to know and they could be held responsible.
And the ones that we have, they're like over 12 to 13, even longer years old now. I mean, we haven't replaced them at all. I mean, since they've gotten put in there, we got away from pea gravel, and that was way back when I was a ground supervisor, that we had pea gravel wood chips, and those were horrid. And then they went to these chips, so I mean, they're probably even older than 14. They're old and they haven't been replaced.
And that may be the problem, the oxidization on them.
Yeah.
What-
Some to look, I'll look into it. I'll look into why they're getting dirty. I didn't, that was the first time I heard of that.
And Erica, I do need to see.
Sure.
Missy.
Yeah, I'm in the maintenance, transportation, operations director. I'm gonna focus on my staff. They've been very busy. I'm very gracious and thankful to them. They do all the work. And so they need to be really highlighted, and I highlight them and thank them every day because they're the ones that's doing it. So as all the questions that came out tonight, it centers around my department a lot of, we're a very busy department. There's never a dull moment in there, and those people are always moving. They've always got something going on. We're dealing with the volleyball games. We're dealing with all the sites. They deal with the transportation. Transportation's been a little bit harder of a start off. We've got 13 routes now. We got 9 bus drivers. So we're always on the shuffle, and then somebody's out, there is not a sub. We don't even have enough to fill what we have. So we're always on the move, making a different choice, and what's going on. And right now we have, people are busy with the stuff right now, dances and stuff. And so that puts out 2 to 3 staff. So we're like, we're moving, and it's busy, but we make quick decisions and we make it happen, and we keep our facilities up and we keep our bus runs on the road. We have never had to cancel a run, even when all 6 of us got COVID. Everybody stepped in and took over and helped with vans and stuff. And so I really want to focus on my staff because they're getting it done. They're very busy. We've got a home football game. There's always something going on. So everybody gets ready to come back to school, and we're kind of at the everybody's like, oh, happy to come back. And we're like, okay, here comes everybody now. And our facilities were busy all summer this summer, like we usually weren't used to. We kind of shut down in the summer. So our gyms were busy between fires, Team Rubicon, military. So it really had to adjust different things, but by all means, we want to service that and have our community needs our help. When they need our facilities, that's what we got to do. So they adjusted and they roll with it. And so that's my highlight is my staff. I love them very dearly. They're very hard workers and very appreciative on that. And the flip side of that, got some stuff in my report. There's other things on there. I'm really worried about my fleet. We're old school over there. We got 2 newer buses, but it's old, and we've got a lot more runs now. We're starting to run the vans a lot more. So, and those are getting old. We only have 5 newer ones, and those are 2015, 2016. We're putting 37 to 60,000 miles a year on those vans. And so, what that looks like if we don't rotate it out. So that's something I'll continue to have to say, because when we drive them until they die, and then we try to get some new ones. So in order for us to keep good fleet in and going, that's some of my hardship there, but we roll with it, we're making do, we're making what we do, but we do need to start thinking about that in the future of it, because it's, they get ran down and we need good running vehicles, so.
Missy, what's the mileage and they need to be decommissioned? Isn't it pretty, is there a cutoff where you can't use them anymore?
No, I mean, some of them have, like I said, because we end up inheriting them in maintenance and we'll drive them until they go. So like when one's finally like got its top out, we end up inheriting it there until we get some new, so. You gotta rotate it around, but some of them have 400,000 miles on it, still cruising around at the maintenance use for maintenance vehicles, so. Fleet is a hardship in my department right now, so that's one of the struggles we have, and everybody's wanting to go electric on everything, and you guys know that story here in our rural area. It's like a scary thing for me to start thinking that way, but I know that's the future.
I was just wondering, Missy, about your, like you said, for safety, have you purchased the purchase of the bus radios and all that you plan to have?
But we're still trying to get those in. We're right into the mix right now. I just got the other quote and had the company. It's kind of been a slow little boat on that one because they got our other current stuff up working and it works good. It's scary to give up something that works really good, but we're right at that cutoff of where we're gonna have to go digital. I mean, it's like, but our old systems all work so good that it's scary to like start trying to transition to something else that's worked and then to keep us working while they're transitioning us over. So, but yeah, we're almost ready to transition right over into another company. It's like probably another 3 weeks out. But it's right there.
Well, I was reading your report, and I see, like you said, you and your staff are very, very busy, and you have different, and you have a lot of things on your priority list. And I was just wondering, and I don't know if the rest of the board would agree, but I would like to see you give us a priority list, a real priority list of what's your top needs, okay, and your top needs down. Because, you know, you have safety here, and I'm glad to hear that the radios, you like that better and stuff, but the safety is one of our main concerns. And so if you need help with any of this priority list stuff, we would really like to see that and know that so that we can do whatever we can to help out.
Thank you.
So if we can get you know, and start with what you really, really need.
Okay.
And you know, when I look at the van purchases, they're relatively cheap. I
Get
mean,
a really pretty good deal. We can get really good deals on the vans through, you know, COVID changed a little bit. They went up a little bit more, but I mean, for the 9-passenger vans, they're reasonable. I mean, $36,000 to $56,000 is nothing because, you know, but just the rest of it that goes along with that. If you utilize them too much, you can call people to school. So that's what we got to try to save. Yeah. So.
You have a question? No, I just wanted to kind of second what you were saying about your staff, because I know they really came through for us with Team Rubicon. We called them up at crazy hours and they came, I wouldn't have come in. They came in and then they locked up, they opened up, and we were really appreciative of that because we didn't expect that kind of cooperation or support, and so we appreciate that. So thank you. I wanted to acknowledge that because they were great.
And fire alarms, got better at fire alarm drills. I missed my Willie was like, and so yeah, I've gotten a lot better at those now. It's like you get kind of rusty when you don't do them all the time. You have your Will that ran around and did. So now I've got they sat a few of those off. So
We appreciate everything that you did.
Like,
It's hard to post that kind of
it
those
was.
numbers with people who are doing that kind of work. That's difficult to do, so we appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's been a while since we've had that many people in our facility, but it was good.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you also for making all the facilities available for fire, as it is unfortunate that we have to, but you know, I'm glad that we're able to do that. A lot of places where fire crews go, as you know, knowing where my son we went fire, they don't have that kind of hospitality. Appreciate that. I like your wish list. I like your report. I like to see what you would like to see happening this year. So,
Thank you.
I had a question about our, because of, child status, are we able to access any GSA vehicles like transport, just on skills or whatever?
You'd have to go into more like a contract and that kind of thing. It's just more, our GPA has a little bit different rules on us on things like that.
Right.
Right here.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, dude.
Was I on there?
Yes.
I was hoping.
I just don't. I don't even know where my reports go. Okay.
My real name is Norman. He calls me Jude. I'm the district's interim security chief. The district has one other officer, student resource officer, and he's full time. Currently, I'm on some limited hours and for about another week to 10 days. And I know some of the concerns that the district had first started a couple weeks ago. They wanted more patrols at all of the district sites. Myself and the other officer for the last 3 weeks have been patrolling those other off sites, except for we haven't made it all the way down river yet. It's quite a ways to go. In the last 3 weeks, it's been fairly uneventful, except for last Tuesday.
There's a button, right? There you go.
My wife tells me I don't speak loud. The last Tuesday, we had one student show up at the high school under the influence. The student didn't require any law enforcement attention. It was the district handled it, or the administrators handled it internally. The child was released to a responsible relative. Later on that day, well, within a couple hours after that, we had a call for service at the wellness center. The child was having a bad day. Preliminarily, did an assessment on the child, and we determined that the child needed some professional help on the coast. We called in the Humboldt County Sheriff's Department. They came down and assisted us and did a transport to the hospital on the coast. I don't know what the outcome of that was, or the decision. Other than that, it's been great. It's taken a little getting used to all the new faces and names and all the little kids that want to introduce themselves to you when you walk across the playgrounds and things like that. But it's enjoyable.
Thank you for standing in and stepping up for the call. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jim. That's not really, I'm really. What is he?
Improve.
Slow and steady. Slow and steady.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we're expecting him back in a few weeks.
Oh, okay. Good.
And Miss Becky Woodman is not here. And Miss Karen is not here. Is Tabuchi here? Tabuchi. Melissa.
Maybe my name is Melissa Reese and I'm the wellness system coordinator. I want to highlight a few accomplishments for the wellness system. Namely the case study that we participated in as a district at the end of last year. I'm very proud
to have been contacted by the California Children and Youth Behavioral Health Initiative. Worked with West Ed, and Scotty was also a part of that. And very proud to have participated in a case study. West Ed looked at our wellness and behavioral health system and how we utilize supports in our district to maximize funding and staffing. If you haven't had a chance to read that case study, I really encourage you to do so. They did a fantastic job capturing those details. At the beginning of this year, we also responded to mask and other PPE distribution. You can see, about 2,600 surgical masks, N95, and other PPE was distributed throughout the district. I'm especially proud of the MOU that was recently established with the North Coast Red Crisis. We're going to be on campus at the Wellness Center every Wednesday, providing crisis support as needed, along with offering rehab education throughout the entire district. And that's really important because some of the topics that have come up in these meetings and at our sites, they're going to be addressing many of them. I want to call your attention for more detail to under tier 1, under first page. Pull it down. Kindergarten through 6th grade, we're going to receive education on peer conflict resolution, bullying and harassment, safety with strangers, safety skills, and dating violence. Whereas the upper grades 7 through 12 will be participating in sexual assault, consent, bullying and harassment, healthy relationships, dating violence prevention, gender and gender stereotypes, human trafficking, and bystander prevention education. So we're very, very thankful for that new MOU. I expect it's going to have a very positive impact on the campuses and the environment. Also want to highlight the wellness website. I work on that regularly, and I'm especially proud of that because I've never developed a website before or worked on one. So I've taught myself a lot this last year. And today, for example, I spent several hours adding words. I expect to continue to do that on a regular basis. So please check that out. You might enjoy seeing some of those new things on there. The wellness system student referral flowcharts were all distributed prior to the kickoff of the academic year. I'm going to be scheduling a wellness system orientation with outreach, the school social workers, the interns, counselors, folks that are part of the student support team, to be able to make sure that they have a strong understanding of how that system works, forms that go with it, and how to access supports for students in a meaningful way. There's also been changes at the Wellness Center. Last year, I received a lot of referrals for individual counseling, which were very difficult to match with providers, primarily because all of our community partners have large caseloads, and those caseloads were waitlisted. So this year, my goal is to look very close, continue to offer and support individual counseling, but to move into small group and classroom-based and site-based social emotional support. And so I'm working on, I have 3 new partnerships that we're in the process of figuring out if it's a good fit for the district. But I'm really excited about the transformation to the Wellness Center. 2 rooms specifically were adjusted to allow for small groups, and I have a number of providers that are wanting to do that, namely grief and loss support groups is one of the primary goals, but also making sure that we're integrating culturally appropriate activities with our other providers. For example, Kamau Native Connections is coming in again every Friday. Of course, we have the True Feathers crew, and then the Yurok tribe is also very amenable to some smaller groups. I'm excited about those things. And then, of course, we've kicked off a lot of flyers and bulletin boards and notifications to, throughout the district and all over the wellness center. We've increased, sounds strange, but our bathroom has become a resource library. All of the counters, the bulletin board, the shelving, everything. Our bathroom is hopping all week long, all day long. We're really proud of it, because that tells us that people not only feel comfortable coming there, but they enjoy having those things in a private space where they can shop, so get their needs met. Speaking of that, the Raven Project, the YSB and HCKC are going to be coming back 4th Thursday of every month. And so we're going to be doing some outreach tables. We'll have more street outreach supplies and things available, information, resources. And both Captain John, they'll spend an hour over there, and then they'll come over and spend 2 hours over at the high school. Also offering support to youth, foster youth that are getting ready to transition adulthood. And then finally, as of this last meeting, there were six new community partnerships that were developed. So that's really my focus this year, is to continue to expand social emotional supports throughout the district, and working even more closely with the high school. I already had some great conversations with Scotty, and I expect those to really take off.
Great.
Trustee area reports.
I don't have anything. I'm excited to see the new school year. That's it for all the schools. The special meeting and
Thank you, Madam President. Same here. We did some interviews and we had a special meeting. But other than that, I'm just looking forward to this new school year and our little sit down with Trinity Valley and getting to know the staff over there maybe a little better and meeting some of the kids. Just looking forward to really getting stuff done. I'm really looking forward to seeing Missy's to-do list and her priority list. And I think those are things that, we really want to help you address and get the, for safety. So I'm just excited to be here, excited to start a new school year, and I'm very optimistic. Thank you all.
Yeah. And I would like to reiterate that comment. I really appreciate all of our administrators and how hard they work and how little recognition they get. And Missy, your crew, whenever I come in contact with any of your crew, they are always very friendly and very helpful and always on the move. And, I appreciate seeing that. So, then that's going to be a great year.
Well, I can say that again. I reiterate what you folks are saying. We're looking forward to a great school year. We're getting a lot of calls about concern at Hoop Elementary School because of I think the panic of new staff and uncertainty of what's happening. Mentoring needs to happen. And so I pass that question along to you, Principal Hall. Talked to Hoop Valley Tribal Indian Ed Director Derek Colgrove, and she sent the message that they're still they had this block party that they're handing out free school supplies, and it sounds like they still have some. So the principals, passing on that information to you that maybe you need to contact director over at the tribal end and see seeking support some of your students with supplies and maybe. Other than that, I pass.
Just
I don't have a formal report to give. I kind of want to second that hopeful feeling, being very optimistic. I'm thrilled that we have a principal and that we are moving forward. I was really happy to hear you talk about mentoring and onboarding your staff, because I think that's an area that's been really weak. So I'm optimistic, and I'm looking forward to some changes that benefit our kids. So thank you for being here. I'm happy that you're here. But no, I'm kidding.
We'll get Addition back.
I'm here.
Trustee Myers.
Looks like it's Leslie, she's in the list, but anyway, I have been only around to Witchcraft School through the last week or so. And there was some talk about that a couple of people had put in applications for teacher's aid, and that I don't know, something wasn't happening with the paperwork, was moving slow or something. And I did come in and talk to Nina, sorry, I have trouble with names, about it. And, so she told me, what she had said about it, but I still had heard differently. So I don't know what we can do about that in terms of trying to get people, when they come in, like, it feels like we're begging people, like, please come work for us. We need you. And do whatever we can to get them in there and get that process of paperwork. And if they don't know for sure and they're not doing it right, get on the phone, get over here, get this done, and just really help pushing them. That's what I'm trying to do to people, is push them in here to get, jobs for, our teacher's aid position. And there was, in fact, that one position, and then when she called back, she was told it's not available any longer. And to me, that's, again, she should have been offered a sub position and to be on the list to be a sub. It's not available right now, then, put her on the list. So anyway, I just had that to make about that. We need to, try to see what we can do about speeding up that process. Paperwork. And becoming to our leaders. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Trustee Myers. Consent agenda. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We will approve the consent agenda.
And we have it with edits to the minutes.
I didn't have it, but it's in the minutes. Would you like it?
Yes, please.
I need to approve the consent agenda with edits.
I'll second that motion. Okay, all in favor? You want to give us the next. Do you want to discuss the edits or?
They're just grammatical stuff. There's nothing of any substance.
Okay.
Nothing that changes the.
Okay.
Thank you, Laurie.
I appreciate Laurie. Okay. 6A, ratification of the tentative agreement on successor agreement 2023 through 2026. Approve the tentative agreement on successor agreement. Okay.
Now, this is the one.
Going up in verification, which one
that
we
we
are
accept.
using.
I make the motion to approve the tentative agreement on successor agreement 2023 to 2026.
Right. Not the one in the packet, it's
The other one, right?
one that was in our blue.
We have to make a motion to be able to discuss that.
Okay. You made a motion to approve. A second.
Yeah, that's in the consensus.
Somebody seconded it already. Okay. good.
For clarification on this agreement, the first, the second and third page of the agreement is incorrect. And the last two pages match in the original agenda item is the correct. So it should be 3.5 and along with the salary schedule. There was a change to the salary schedule of placements of positions, and we since then have fixed that. And so what comes next is this is the closing of our agreement with CSEA, and at our October meeting, you will be receiving the 80-1200 that actually puts it in place so that we can retro these increases. And the negotiations went very well. I'm glad we were able to come up with an agreement. And so at our October meeting, we will be seeing what the budget results of this will look like moving forward. That's it.
I just had a question on, still, this document still has all the line outs and the red. So when do we get to see it actually, how it's gonna be in a file, or is part of it the act, is it just?
We've been requesting a copy of the updated, so
So
we
it's
read
just-
it from previously without the redactions.
So is it just?
Hoping that along with the updated agreement that all the strikeouts will not be there. Again, we'll take a look at it once all parties receive it. We'll just do a double check on that.
Okay, then, so you will get
We have to be able to.
the new agreement, copy of it.
Yes, and we will be the binding of their contract. We will ensure that each employee receives it.
That was all I was wondering. Thank you. Thank you.
So I've never seen it worded as tentative agreement on successive agreement. What was that?
Yeah, we're wondering the same
The
thing.
tentative agreement on the successor agreement. I've never seen it anything worded that.
This,
It's a tentative agreement.
this is a letter from CFA to their president, Verla Jackson Roberts. So they're saying it kind of, they're not. It's not what,
So
I don't even know what it's
the
packet.
the final draft, is that one we'll actually approve it, since this is the. Then we'll have to approve it again. when
We're
it's in final
approving,
form.
we're approving
This draft.
this agreement. The next, we will be approving the actual increase.
Will just be called successor.
Successor.
And it'll have, it'll be the one that without the strikeout from the red letter.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
It's tentative because we have to approve the money. We can approve we can approve the action, but we have to approve the money.
Yeah, and it's tentative because this letter is written to Perla before they even agree to it themselves, before they're even vote.
Well, that's why they probably.
Right, this is their,
Letter.
this is the letter for Perla to say, yes, all the legal ramifications are okay, and you can move forward with this tentative agreement.
And
This is not for, it's not really for us at all. I don't even know why it's in here. So,
Yeah,
but
we're not really
yeah,
taking
yeah.
action on this.
No, we don't take action on this letter.
No, well,
We are taking action on this,
The language.
the tentative, yes, we are taking action on the tentative.
And to address what Ms. Fogg said, it's my understanding of the document of this nature, those redactions are necessary so that they can confirm what was agreed on to add is correct.
The changes, yeah.
you have a question?
Call for questions. Let's move it along.
Yeah, she's saying, let's vote, let's vote.
Sorry, I'm tired.
Come on, all in favor? Opposed? Approval of the 2022-23 unaudited action and the resolution to approve the 2022-23 unaudited actions and the 2022-23 and resolutions 23-72. Ari, do you have any? Actually, you can do it either way. You can have your discussion first, according to Rosenberg's, according to the other. Okay, doesn't matter.
This is just another process that we have in regards to our budget out and the closing of our fiscal year from last year. This is it's a long process because we have to get all of our compensated absences, we have to get all of our capital assets. We take a look at our funds to see where we are at. For example, with our COVID money, some of the COVID money, two of the resources, they were ending on June 30th. So it gives us an opportunity to look at those ending resources and to see if there's anything within our unrestricted budgets that we could utilize that COVID money, that one-time money. And so we're able to free up our unrestricted monies to increase our beginning balances for our new fiscal year. And this is just what we do here. We have to do it by September 15th. And this will start setting us up with our auditors. So our auditors will then take a look at what we provided to the county and then to the state. And at that point, the auditor will come in and take a look. So a lot of times at the end of or in January, you'll see what maybe there might be some audit findings or maybe some audit adjustments based on the information that our district has provided. The audit will then take a better snapshot of what these unaudited actual show. And this document will also show what our budget adoption was based on what we actually spent, what our revenue received for 22-23. You'll see some percent changes within the difference between the new fiscal year, the budget adoption, and what was actually spent. So this is just a snapshot of what was actually spent for the 22-23 school.
Is there any page in here? I'm gonna just tell me.
It's a lot to read.
But is there a specific page that we could look at and go, okay, this is how much we budgeted, this is how much we spent, this is how much we went over, or this is how much we didn't?
There is not one page of them like that. I will take notes and I can actually update you at the next meeting and show you the actual costs. I could do that.
Yeah, thank you.
And I could do that as a cover page, kind of like a budgeted option. I could do that. I can do that.
Yeah, because my understanding from reading this, that this is actually a different document. This is for this legislature saying that we have to provide this information, and along with information, I think that we actually get back from the County Office of Education, right? But we have to provide this because we have to show that we're within that limit. And stuff, so it's just like feels like it's like one step of
the GAN piece of this is a separate step.
Right.
I've combined them. So the GAN is just a guarantee that we're meeting our state limitations, and it's only certain funds. And I'm not able to provide you with this one, and it actually gives me an out in here that says you're not going to get a list. It's just not going to happen. It just doesn't happen. But I've combined these together. Otherwise, it would have just been a resolution, and that was that. But I've combined because it's all one document. It comes as one document.
So on just this one is one that 213, and then it says page 106 on the bottom. 213.
92. I number these pages.
Oh.
So try to keep it, it's in the middle of the book.
Okay, so the exception there. And it says, explanation, unspent funds be returned to the CDE. Do we have to send back $16,000 to the CDE?
Yes, we do. So this resource was with the high school. It was a grant. And it was when. We carried this balance over year after year. The funding timeline to spend it had ended. We received the revenue. We've never received an invoice from CDE, so we carried it over. We're not able to spend that amount because but we did receive the revenue. Year after year, we make the phone call, we did emails to CDE saying, hey, where's the invoice? Because CDE will invoice us, for example, ACES, saying, hey, we gave, they say that they gave us X amount of dollars over in revenue, and therefore we have to pay that back. With this grant, it was a one-time fund. We've never received such an invoice. So it's been carrying over. We've been working on this one for about 5 years. And so it's recognized in there, and we're going to continue to work, and hopefully our auditor may be able to help us out this year and have a contact with CDE so we can get this out, because we really wouldn't know at this point who that contact person would be when we send it back. Would they even know what it is?
And we can't spend it because
No, it's a funding.
yeah.
So why is it in 3 different spots?
There's at least 2.
There's 2 on the next page also.
Oh, 2 on that
exception.
So
It's the same amount.
because at the beginning, fund balances of revenues, and then you're looking.
The next page, I think
Was this reflected in last year's? Really, this is the same balance carry over and are always reflected. So this is the same conversation we had last year about the same
Yes.
amount.
And so when we're looking at these. Where it says past, it's a checks and balances. When you look at the first, it's a check resource, and then it's looking at the code, the resource is not valid because that resource is no longer available. So they say, well, that resource, here's the amount available. When you go to the next, it's a check fund plus resource, and it's a warning because the fund and the resource showed up again. And it's checking to make sure that the resource coincides with the proper fund, because we have different funds that we have versus the resource. We're gonna get that error once again, because it's the checking the fund versus the resource.
And it's in the software.
It's in the software. Then all of a sudden we have the object. Because this resource is obsolete, it's gonna hit an error for each and every code within these checks and balances. Yes.
And this is just a snapshot of our books, right? We're not punished for this.
Absolutely not.
It's just a reflection of what it is.
What it is, and then what do we go through our audit, then we'll see if there's anything that.
It doesn't trigger like a finding, it's
Oh.
just that, so it doesn't trigger that. Okay.
So I had a question on page 95. When it's talking about that exception, but it says the GASB, GASB, what is that?
GASB 31, so this is our Fund 17, which is our special reserve, and our Fund 20, which are, these are funds that we don't have any expenditures in, so 20 is the. That's okay. 35 is building, 21 is the county building, 35 is state, and 20. I can't tell you. One is in. That's terrible. However, well, I know what it is. It's our, because it's only $7,000. That is our interest in. I want to say that is. Developer fee, our local fund for the developer fee.
The 70 or the 30? The 7, no, I mean the amount.
That's how-
The 7,000. And so what is the gas B 31? Because it says it would be reversed on 70. Oh, it's interest. Oh, it's interest on the,
It's our interest. We also have to do the fair market value, which is, we post what our value is from the county treasurer's side. And then the county then does a reverse. So it's like, this is what our fair market value is, and then on the provide first, it reverses it out. It's just a post.
well, I was, so all these passed, at least we had no fatal or anything.
We would not be able to get things within the minute. It's just so you know, everything has to pass, or they would have an exception. Before it's even ran and brought to you guys, so you can't have any.
Did we make it? Did we?
Yes, you just have to call for this
What?
question. Call.
Oh, what? Okay, call. All in favor?
I don't see that we had a motion.
I don't
think we have a motion yet.
Are you sure?
I don't-
I apologize.
You want me?
I will make the motion.
Second.
Okay, so all in favor and opposed, seeing none. Motion. Approval of the revised LCAP 2023-24. Okay, do we have any discussion?
I just had a quick question.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Well, I would just, didn't we just pass the LCAP at the end of this, at the end of the year? So is this,
County send it back.
so is this what it is? Yeah, because I see a lot of striking out on it and stuff too. So I mean, when,
The very last of those items that were, the striking out is things we've completed, the very last of those items were completed yesterday. We got a, we got the council runs over the process that we are done.
With these on the first three pages. So this is really our LCAP, but we just hadn't
We had to go through and make,
finished the list of conclusions, and so now it's gonna be. Okay, so it's the same one. Okay.
Now.
they should not be able to.
Question.
I don't like this happening.
Got a motion to revise.
So that's what I don't understand is the revised LCAP when we just approved the LCAP. So why did we approve the prior one?
Because
We
we
had to have this information still.
Because we had to approve it before that deadline,
Certain date. Yeah.
June 30th or whatever, knowing that we would probably have to do.
Have to do this.
And also, the LCAP goes hand in hand with budget adoption. And once the budget adoption happens, the county does their final review. They'll look at all the goals and actions that are within the LCAP. Their findings are on the compliance review. And so that kind of explains what areas they're looking at and what we needed to work on. As far as the fiscal piece, I can just talk in regards to that. When we had to do an estimated amount that we were going to expend, taking into consideration, we weren't even done with the fiscal year for 22-23. So when we update the 23-24, we're also updating prior year expenditures. And so on my part, I will have a fiscal technician from the county they'll look at the goals that we have here. They'll go through, I give them my crosswalk of what I'm looking at. And sometimes it could be just a difference of when they ran their report versus when I ran my report. It could be just that type of difference. We do a walkthrough. I actually finished this up last week and did a walkthrough, and we went goal by goal, resource by resource through the crosswalk and came up with, this is what I'm coming up with. It's another set of eyes that the county provides us. And so if we're able to take a look, sometimes they may find more that we may not have had in place at that time. It's actually a nice checks and balances. As far as the plan summary, Scotty can talk more on that side of it. I just know the fiscal side of things, and it's just a second pair of eyes. And I could tell you that, for instance, a social worker in one of the resources, I captured the social workers twice. Or I should have done it once. So it's just those kinds of, that was one of the checks. I was like, oh, you're absolutely right. And but just going back and forth. It's just a cleanup, but as far as, go ahead.
The only thing that we were really missing were some of the metrics and data that we needed to provide for them. It was just a matter of finding what that was. And that's part of what we did. Well, after a lot of it had been provided months ago, but there was still some things that was in particular associated with our communication. One of our metrics is how much the district is communicating and the sites are communicating using the various platforms that we did. So that's kind of a difficult thing to find, except for with the exception of some of the platforms that we do use. So like our Parent Square and how many messages we were sending out. So those things were updated with the team, but I had to go back and find some of the things that were missing.
So these crossouts that are in here, those things that you said were already, the questions came up that they were done.
Mhm.
So are they changed within this document then to update that they were completed? So that there have been actual changes to the document?
It depends on when that was printed.
Printed prior to.
Okay, fine.
This was printed on that Thursday, so it could be on the agenda. As we were making changes, Ms. Lorenzo from the county, she was waiting to speak to me, and she would hear us complete something and she would cross it off on the task, for example.
But I can tell
So
you.
are we gonna see another copy that's
Yes.
updated?
Yeah, but the only thing you're gonna see change in there, and if I'm remembering correctly, it's the action 3.17, we had to provide some data from a survey that went out to all of KT staff on where they thought where we were falling in our efforts to provide services for our English learners. And so we had 16 responses, so there was technically no data to report. And the other thing that was included in there was that communication piece. We had how many calendar items we have, and we had to go through and find how many Facebook posts we had done from the year before. So that's all you're gonna see what's
So
changed.
you don't have any.
We have like 3. Yeah.
This review right here, it explains what areas, so if somebody wanted to take a look, because we'll put it on the website. Looking at me, and there'll be a link, so everyone can go and see what did that, and see that these changes have been made based on this cover sheet. So this cover sheet is here, so that you all.
Then on the line on the website, it will be corrected within the.
It's already corrected. Yes.
I just did it because my stuff. is-
Yeah.
I didn't pay for the other. So I didn't. We haven't had a motion. Is there a motion to accept the offer?
Motion to approve the revised 2023-2024 LCAP.
Second. All in favor?
The
In opposed? Seeing none. We have revised revisions for. 6E, approval of educational waiver resolution number 24-2. Oh, wait a minute, no, I didn't do D, approval of the consolidated application. Approve the spring consolidated application for 2023, 2024.
Governing board approval will enable KTJUSD to receive categorical funds for the 2023-2024 school year. Assurances and copies of reports that have been submitted electronically to the California Department of Education are available upon request.
Anything to add, Carmen?
Again, this is a process that we have to do during the spring application and then the winter. So in order to receive federal funds. Within this consolidated application for the winter time, we have to update what we've expended in the 12-month, 18-month, and 24-month. So during the spring, it could be 2 of the resources, Title II and Title I, and then the winter will include Title IV. And this is just, again, we work with the county office, we're part of the consortium. They put our information into the system, they submit it to the state. And it's just the checks and balances. We put in our information for the winter time. Once we do our enrollment counts, we do this our unduplicated students that we put into the system with health pads. We have to update. So this is just a yearly thing that we do in order to receive that money.
There's a motion to approve. Second.
Who was the second?
All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Approving for the consolidated application. Approval of educational waiver resolution number 24-2. And this is the waiver list, the teachers that we have in place. Can you explain the teachers that we have in place?
Yeah, so these are the teachers that we have in place. They have to acknowledge whether or not, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tammy, whether that we have applied for waivers. So it's giving the board the notification that we have GSD teachers working that are not working as a fully certificated staff member. And so this is our report of who we have and what they're going to be doing for us and how they're working, whether it's on a tip or a stiff or
So I have questions because and I realize this is necessary. Are the teachers that are on waivers at the end of this year, are we going to be able to reemploy them for next year?
It depends. It depends on whether or not some of them have to jump through some additional hoops, whether it be assessments or testing, or they have to enter into a credentialing program or complete a credentialing program. There's other variables too, but so it will depend if they get their ducks all in a row and they're ready to go, then they could easily still.
Do we have supports in place to walk these teachers through these steps? Because we ran into.
Absolutely. So if I may speak to that, I know Lenora just stepped out and I actually wanted to give her some kudos. So she's working with her staff, her teachers that are on this list. She's actually providing tutoring and mentoring.
Oh, that's what we're doing.
That's on top of what she's doing. And so working with the county office, working with Nina, Nina's working hand in hand with Lenora. I don't know if she's been, I don't think you have been, but been working with Lenora to ensure that these folks are afforded the same opportunities that we afforded past teachers that were on this resolution list. Again, thank you, Lenora, for actually doing the extra to do those mentoring, to actually have them do a test and see where they are at, because there's certain tests that they have to pass, and she's tutoring in those areas in which they need some extra assistance on. She has people going into the classroom and monitoring these individual teachers, and again,
it's a work in progress. It's the individuals that we have right now on this list have been fabulous. They've been responsive. And I think I gotta give it also to the leadership of Hoop Elementary to help help them along as well, and knowing that she's there to support.
So I have concerns about this list because, you know, we took some really hard hits over having to make decisions because we didn't have credentialed teachers in the classroom, right? And so I'm concerned that if we vote to do this without having some kind of acknowledgement from these teachers, that they understand the process of a waiver and they understand that this doesn't ensure that they are continuously employed as we move into the future. I think that it needs to be acknowledged by these teachers. And I understand that we have administration that is taking the lead and doing a really good job. But we all know our administration changes. You know, nothing is a given, right? And so I want to be careful because I know we have all talked about the importance of having credentialed teachers in the classroom, right? We have our test scores, our reading levels, all of our students are extremely under par. And a lot of that is because we don't have teachers in the classroom that's our problem, right? That has been a continuous issue. So we're again moving forward and approving this list of putting uncredentialed teachers in the classroom. And so I just want to bring that to light and make sure we all understand that this action right here is the reason why we are continuing to have these issues when it comes to our hiring, when it comes to having to let people go, and when it comes to our students having adequate education.
I think that's a great idea. And I think even with those individuals, some sort of acknowledgement that they're signing that in order for you to remain employed, and we want that to happen, here's your individual checklist of what you need, whether it be, and those things are changing. It was just 2 days ago, Owen Page sent me something yesterday about what their accommodations are making for retired teachers. They're streamlining that process. And what was the 30-day emergency sub permit that we're using? Gavin Newsom, because there's a teacher shortage everywhere. So he's extended that from 30 to 60 days. But I think it would be great if we did that when we do put these hires on waivers, that we give them some sort of indication. Okay, we're going to hire you, but here's what we expect you to do in order for you to
and I'm
remain
not
employed.
opposed to incentives. I think that we want to attract teachers here. We want them to be here. We want them to stay here. We want them to get credentialed, right? We want to do that.
We do have an incentive in place that brought these teachers here, so that there is something that's really.
Yeah, and then it's real clear because it just caused last spring, you know, those notices go out in March. And sometimes that's even before they have been able to finish their programs. And they understand that notice is going to be there until this credential is.
Some people were there for 2 years and still didn't prove that they needed to do.
And that's what we want to avoid. We want to avoid that because, you know, it took a lot of time away from us actually being able to conduct business. And
I can definitely get a list for you, and that's not a problem actually. And if that was something that you all are in agreement to, I can say it's a directive, and this is what we would like each and every one of them to sign something that they're acknowledging.
Yes, I just thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to say that, you know, I totally agree with Trustee Colgrove on what she just said, because I know we had these discussions and we all agreed that we were going to try to avoid this type of situation in the future. So, you know, and I like that idea of them acknowledging what they have to do and et cetera. But also I'd like to know where it's, you know, this is just a pretty quick list. I'd like to understand if they are accepted into a program, if they are really going, if they're just applying for a program. I mean, that's a huge difference. And I know that there's the process takes time, But I think that it would really be great if we knew what that was, if they were actually already admitted into a program, whether they're on a wait list and trying to get into a program, just so we know which way that is going, and that the acknowledgement that, they know that that's,
That request alone would
Yeah.
help even our HR department, because
Right.
I know how hard and what she does to make sure these folks are going through the processes.
I
She
know,
has
it's
done-
difficult.
So with
It's
that,
difficult.
like, that's gonna help, that's gonna actually easier.
I see a flow chart.
And I need to,
Because we need to see where they are in that process.
and I can get you in those sessions at the next meeting, I can update you each month in regards to how. That's not a problem.
Would you suggest we table this to next month?
No, because we need to have them.
We have to, but okay,
It's a
we have to have
process.
it. Okay.
However, and I understand that.
We
And I
can,
understand that this is the solution because of the teacher shortage, because we're in a rural community, this is our solution. But this solution is not in the best interest of our children. And so I think we need to make some changes here.
and I'll keep you guys.
Okay.
The situation each month.
I think. You have.
Oh, I'm sorry, no,
I'm wanting clarification on short-term, provisional, and variable. It's a difference between all these.
That I could, short-term provision, that's the STIP, right? Short-term, you have the STIP. I couldn't tell you that. In fact, I have to call credentialing experts on that.
As you know, the short term is for 30 days.
Yeah.
The emergency.
Yes, ma'am.
correct.
Which just got changed to 60 days. Yeah.
And the provisional, I want to say they're actually in a program, looking at the names that I'm seeing here, that they're actually enrolled in a program. So the provisional is that, based on the names that I'm seeing.
Yeah, so that's just the
The
information
various-
we need to know.
Variable.
That's a school counselor, it's a different kind of
Classification.
I'm sorry, I didn't mention.
Same with the assistant principal. They're enrolled in a program.
I was confused about that too.
So I can give you guys,
Who is this?
she is, however,
Can you make a note to tell us that is closed?
yes, I will. You'll be happy why we're. Please.
I appreciate the board acknowledging that we want to have the communication with the provisional or these credentialed waiver employees. I just want to also add, let's not repeat what happened last year with having a security officer go in and give somebody their pink slip in March. Let's be human. Let's, we had the superintendent tell us that she was going to contact these individuals personally, and that didn't happen. A teacher was pulled out of his classroom by our security, left with the other security person to attend to the students, and he was given his slip. Let's not do that again. Let's not do that again. That's a teacher that isn't here. He lost to me. If you want to see him, he's down at the grounds. He's doing very well with those students. There's kids that he's interacting with down at the grounds. So let's don't do that again.
We Karen,
I just want to piggyback off of what Tina is saying. I think that it's a really good idea to communicate with the teachers and what we want them to do, but we need to do it in a tone that is like, we are so grateful that you are here and we want this to work out. And this is what you need to do to stay. And, we're going to help you along the way, instead of like, this is what you need to do. And then there might just be like,
Let's be
peace
human.
out, and then we lose, so.
yeah.
Let's value the employees that we have.
Positive.
We're lucky to have those bodies in the room right now.
Right.
We are.
And along those lines of what was just shared is, I'm wondering about creating some flexible benchmarks for the individuals, because, if you're just starting out and you're not sure about what to do or when you have to do it by, maybe some, like I said, some kind of timeframes created for, those steps. We're talking a lot about mentoring, and I feel like that's really powerful. And a lot of that is some of the questions that we've been talking about. And then the last thing that's totally unrelated, is there any chance somebody would be willing to open that window to get some airflow?
Oh, look at your dear.
But we can't hear when it.
I know.
Open the door then, because the place gets no stuff in here.
I get better already. Too on that, since we're talking about that, Carney, about, you know, I know you were saying how Hoopa L had all the, is, you know, getting a lot of support. But what's happening at Trinity Valley? Is it also, is she helping Trinity Valley also, or do we need to? Because there's, yeah, there's.
That's what I want. Do that, who does that? Is that a part of the?
Because she made mention of what things she was having in place. It could be the same that it just was not brought apart.
So
Yeah.
I'll be happy to check.
Consistency would be nice, yeah, over the board on mentoring, not
Just
just.
something that Nora's doing on top of all her other duties.
Yes.
So who would be doing it if she didn't do it? Who would be?
Well, it's nice. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Karen.
Very voluntary.
It's nice to get a teacher with a mentor teacher, right? That's what we're talking about doing. And so there's a BITSA program after a person has their credential, they have a mentor, and that mentor gets a stipend. I don't remember what I was going to say about that. So I don't think that Lenora is, I think that she's helping and mentoring as many as she can, but I feel like she's also setting up, like she said, that they have mentors, and she has placed new teachers with a mentor teacher. And that's something that all of the sites need to work on. And I made a note because I have some as well. I'm a mentor to one of mine, but yeah, I need to talk to Nina about that.
You wrote it in the community school.
Yeah,
To offer stipends for teachers who have X amount of years to
okay.
take a youngster under their wing and walk them through their first year, in addition to what the BITSA stuff's doing. So,
Okay, that's great to know.
yeah,
And even before BITSA.
Yeah, even before BITSA,
Yeah.
because we have a lot of people who don't qualify for BITSA because they're on their waivers.
Right,
So that has to be, yeah.
They won't qualify.
Okay.
But he has the money.
I don't have it. Look, I'm not gonna-
Wait a minute, you
You know where to get it.
community school grants.
I thought you said you did.
No, there's kind of pockets in the bowl.
Okay. Did we make a motion to approve this?
He's talking about, he's just saying personally.
Oh, yeah.
He knows where, he knows what it is.
Okay.
So was there a motion?
Do I have a motion to approve? To approve resolution 24-2 for certificated unit members on the waiver for the 23-24 school year. There's second.
All the stipulations.
Yeah, yeah. With reservations, lots of reservations.
With
I
our
think it's clear that the board agrees that we would like a status report on these waiver situations. And I don't know, within a couple of months would be nice too, you know, so we don't have a knee jerk in March with it. So,
Right.
I don't know, does the board member want to draw out a possible meeting month that you would like a status report based on resolution 24-2?
We have to be in closed session.
Okay.
About personnel issues. Okay. So it could be that.
That's good.
I would say January because the first semester's over.
Yeah.
After July, then they'll know.
Probably would want another one sometime in spring, because that's those that do need to apply to a full-fledged credential program. That will be their timeline, their deadline for doing that. So you're right. Well, yeah, so,
Our deadline.
yeah,
So,
If they're doing well the first semester, we're gonna figure that in.
fair enough.
that's January. Yeah. Local assignment, oh, did we get?
No, we didn't. It's a different.
Those are my questions.
Okay, all in favor. Okay, opposed? Being no opposition. Approval of local assignment option resolution 24-1. And this is the
Can we speak to these assignments, or is that a closed session line?
it's under closed session.
Was not a closed session line.
No, I'm sorry, you can
We can speak for this, yeah.
you can speak for this, yes, you can't go into.
Well, my question is, are these people qualified to teach some of these classes?
That's what this is for, is a resolution,
We're saying they're qualified, but.
but they're teaching outside of their credential.
Yeah, but how do we know that they're qualified to teach outside their credential? If you don't have any of that clean information you provided.
That's what I'm wondering too. How do I know this vacancy?
Administrator?
We are,
Administrator, can you?
we are not saying, we are acknowledging the fact that they're not fully certified or classified to teach in those positions. However, we have them in those positions. So if they were to continue, and these are all in quotes, these are temporary positions. We're making we're saying that we acknowledge that we have these folks and the board is approving temporarily that we can employ these folks in these positions. We have the okay to do that, but we have to acknowledge it.
And most of the, or a lot of them, have been teaching in these positions for years and
Correct.
have done acceptable jobs in their position.
So when I'm looking at this list, let's say somebody is a single subject, social sciences, yes, civics makes sense, right? Somebody is single subject, biological sciences, and they're going to teach earth sciences, that makes sense. But if somebody is a social science teacher, how do I know they're qualified to teach Spanish? Or how do I know that a person that is qualified in art can teach math, or somebody that is qualified in math? I mean, I'm this is the question I'm raising to you is
How do we make that connection?
How do we make that
And
connection?
because if you don't get that information, because it's just the same.
Yes. So
I understand, so I understand approving this for somebody who, like I said, is a biological science, and she's going to be teaching earth science. I get that. I get that we are identifying who is teaching cultural studies, right? Because that's not something that somebody can be qualified by a university to do. But you're asking us to approve teachers in the classroom teaching subjects that we don't know that there's a connection there.
yeah, it's more of an acknowledgement, but not to get into semantics, more of an acknowledgement that we know that this situation is going on and that we know that these teachers are teaching out of area. Whether or not we approve it, no, but we're this is what we're having to do to provide the students with all of the things that we need to provide them with, all of the classes.
But we're this board, so we have to approve that, Scotty.
Yeah.
So how do we know? I mean, you don't even have a resume that says David, yada, 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 to back up that they're teaching in a. I mean, I understand that you are okay with it, or Army's okay with it, or whoever puts it out there.
In her absence.
But still,
I
we're
understand.
still okay with what we do. We've got to have the backup material that says, yeah, that for this and this and this reason, this teacher can also teach Spanish. Or the expectation is that they're just going to stand up there in front of the class and give out assignments. Then we need to know that that's the expectation and that's what's going to happen. But you got to understand that when you just give us a list like this, we're going to go, well,
How do I
This
know
is a
that they're,
stretch.
you know?
Yeah,
I don't know if they're gonna be any good at that, you know, or, I mean, we should have some kind of
and
information.
not to throw myself or my other administrators under the bus, but it would be our jobs to make sure that those positions that they're filling, that they're doing the job. For instance, I have a math teacher teaching music right now, which is probably one of the ones that looks like you have one end of the spectrum versus the other.
Right.
But I can walk into that classroom and see that that teacher is teaching music.
But we haven't.
Oh, yes, but we have, because we've had them teaching weekend for like 5
Well,
years.
but see, I don't know that, because this is.
I was just gonna intervene and say, ladies and gentlemen, I've been here as your teacher for 26 years. I'm looking at these names. There's only 2 that I can't account for. They're new hires. Mr. Peterson and Ms. Reed, who are thankfully back home and on board, but I guess have to say, it sounds like your administrators are endorsing this move. Your superintendent is endorsing this move. And again, I can look at this list of tenured teachers in your district, and they are trusted to teach these courses because they are entrusted to teach these courses. Yes, you can pick apart their credential, you can pick apart they're out of the area, but they are trusted for service for your children. And as a board member here, I also endorse these moves for these teachers to teach in these courses for a temporary time until we can find the proper credentialed person to come up from somewhere to take these positions. But I reiterate, these people that you see as teachers' name and course, with the exception of 2 and the credentials held, they are the best we can do right now. And they are going to service your children, and they are no harm to your children. They're good people.
Well,
You know, I gotta say, thank you, Madam President, but I object to your immediately going to a negative scenario. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that we just want that information. That's all. I think that's what
That's what I'm
that's what
saying.
we're saying. We just want the information because, you know, I don't have 26 years experience.
That's why
But you know, I want to get the information. You're telling me now, but when I was reading this at home, we're getting ready for the meeting, I'm wondering, well, why don't I have more information on why that, you know, because I'm okay with it, I'd be okay with it, but I think that we need to have that information so that we can process it, and if we get asked questions from someone else in the community, possibly who's seen the agenda on the internet or something, you know, we got to be able to respond to our area also. And all I'm saying is that it would be nice just to get a little more information. I'm not critical of it. I think that's great if we can find people that will, you know, can do it. I understand they go to college and they get degrees and they study all different things. It's not, you know, but they get their credential in whatever area. I'm just saying that it would be nice to have the information so that we can get more, see more of that, because, you know, it is a heavy responsibility for me when I'm talking about all of our kids. I want to have that information.
Yep,
And
for
I
sure.
want to be clear, I'm not picking apart anybody.
Yeah,
I'm not buying apart anybody, and I couldn't see the names, I could only see them. The
So the-
credentials that they were associated with. But I do think, you know, I trust you. I would say, okay,
you.
Paige, if you
Thank
think
you.
that these guys are
Thank you.
okay, I will go with that. But I do think that we do need to, maybe you can get us a resume from them so that we can see that later, at a later date. You know, I don't have a problem approving it because somebody knows. But, you know, that banking my judgment on somebody else, okay, I don't have a problem approving it. But like I said, how do this guy speak Spanish?
Well, again, you're not approving it, even if you're recognizing that this is what we're doing. If we walk away from this meeting, it's still gonna be happening. We're just saying, as a district, we're reporting to the state that we have teachers in these positions. So we're,
It's approved.
and with that, you can say, we're not happy with this.
it said, no, I approve.
Well, I didn't.
You know, we just need to have that information. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I agree with you. I think that, I think your submission needs to be more complete.
Right.
Yeah, but maybe we could split down.
To be fair, but
This teacher has already done it for 5 years or whatever.
you put your caveat in there that
So last year we approved this very almost the same list of people.
And
but-
it should have had more detail last year.
Yeah, but I still want to say, the other thing I want to recognize is that our superintendent has people that work for her. And if they say to her, these people are really good at what they're doing, then we have to trust these people. We have to trust our superintendent to trust her administrator.
Right, but you're asking me to approve this. She's not asking me to approve it. If you were asking me to approve this, I probably wouldn't have questions. She's not here.
Oh, but she is, because that's why it's on them.
She's not here.
She's not here, so we can ask those questions. I mean, it's just a simple fact that we just want more information on the people, and especially for the new people that we just come on. We haven't even been through this process before.
And
This
we're
thing
going through
happened.
this.
And we
issue of
just,
not
you know,
having teachers in the classroom that are credentialed for these specific.
and we just
right?
changed 3 administrators, so for you to, we gotta trust our administrators. I mean, we do need to do that, and we're trying to do that, but in the past, it has not always worked.
Yes.
So that's why we just want a little more information, that's all. It's nothing detrimental. We trust you, we trust Jennifer. But, you know, we just need to know that too, these issues too, because we talk to the community also.
Yes.
And right now, we're gonna say, well, Dave said they were okay.
Tina says they're okay also. The two, I think, the waiver resolution and the assignment reporting go hand in hand. Yes, we don't have specific credential teachers with the teaching the subjects that they are credentialed in, but they are credentialed teachers. They have gone through a credentialing program, and the state says that they can teach. So that's.
And I think it's easy enough to just to
Yeah.
explain it, or it's easy enough to say, this is my resume. I'm not credentialed in Spanish, but you know, I've spoke Spanish 12, these are the classes I've taken, this is my experience. I think that for us, that would be, it would be more illuminating to see what is actually happening, you know, because we do have a history here of not educating our students, right?
And I totally agree with you in that aspect,
Yeah.
because we are where we are
Right.
as a result of some of the hires that we have made in the
Can't
past.
pass the aid class for the elementary and high school.
Mhm.
So I think that, I don't think I'm totally out of line asking.
No, you're not. You're asking for the same information
Right.
for the waiver as the assignment.
And for example, I wouldn't even want to advertise for a high school choir or band teacher because the teacher that we have does such an excellent job at it.
Recognize these award.
I mean,
recognize
yeah,
these-
so,
Yes,
Yeah.
there's one awards for your high school in that matter.
and
It's
so,
amazing.
yeah, he's amazing.
So we have,
But the other thing,
Right?
the other thing I wanted to add to that was, that we need, you know, we need to make sure that those teachers that when we are reassigning, you have a art credential. Do you want to continue teaching math this year, or would you like to teach art? You know, are we giving them those options also?
And like I said, I'm not opposed to supporting this. I just want to know what the connection are.
Right,
sure,
more information.
And it is an
and we have a,
approval that you're
we
asking.
have a spectrum,
So
too.
that's-
You know, we have a,
Right.
for instance, in our Spanish position at the high school, which we couldn't fill, we had the option to do online curriculum, which is, depending on who you ask, is either great or horrible. But we had a coalition of the willing, someone was willing to step forward and said, I would love to teach Spanish, if you give an opportunity for me to do that. Being that he or she would have to take on an extra, couple of periods a day of crap. So, and then, we have a teacher subbing for us right now who's got a doctorate in mathematics and physics, who doesn't have a math credential,
Right.
and so we get into the argument about whether or not the credentialing process is even necessary for a gentleman like that, but he's doing what he has to do and stepping up. So, but he still needs to be credentialed. So there's varying levels of
Well,
the-
you just need to tell us why he's the best person to do it, and then we can.
I would-
But you didn't tell, but
We didn't get that.
I-
I mean, I told him.
I-
You just did it right after my question.
I think in almost every case,
I'm not.
you'll find is that they were the only one that could do it.
I'll make.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I don't need to worry about it.
You can have it.
Who got it, sir?
Oh, bro.
Okay.
She got first time, but she got first time. We're going back to that.
Gotcha.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none? The approval of local assignment option resolution 23-1 is approved. Do we have any public comment on closed sessions?
We gotta do the MOU agreement.
Oh,
Did we do that one already?
no, okay. So we have the emergency agenda item, the MOU with Northern Hills Union High School. Provide the specialized fuel for one of our buses. This is an annual renewal request. Cost will be calculated based on the current bulk rate price charged to NHUSHD plus 10 gallons annually. All fuel use reported on the responsibility of KTJUSD. Do I have a motion? Oh, Missy, do you want to?
So, when we got the grant that we wrote, and we got the few buses that we got, the requirement for the grant language was is that we had to have renewable fuel. The local company that said they could do it when we wrote the grant no longer could in that time frame, and so then it became, there was only one place that had the type of fuel that we needed to keep the grant going for these two buses that we got, and it was Northern Humboldt, and so that was the MOU. Since then, we just got our own over there, and renewable fuel is a lot more known now. And so we don't have to, I would like to keep a blank open in case something goes sideways here or whatever, but I don't think we'll be utilizing them as much. But so that's what the MOU is there was nowhere before we were having to go to the coast and get 100 gallons at a time to fuel these two buses to keep them compliant with the grant language.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's the renewable fuel biodegradable, and now it's being in the pump, it's starting to get into the pump, so it's like, but when we started it and we started getting it, that was, we didn't have it here, and they couldn't redo our tank over there to do it because you had to go to Reading, buy it by bulk, huge amounts, and so they weren't quite there with renewable fuel, but now you can get it right in the, like, Renner pumps, and
Yeah, well, Valley.
it's more
Pacific,
known, yep,
Don't they deliver it?
yeah. And so
Okay.
now we have it at our bus shop, so all of our buses are in renewable fuel.
Okay.
So that was.
This is the backup plan.
That's a backup plan.
Okay,
Mhm.
so I do have a motion.
Make a motion that we approve this.
And a second,
I'll second it.
and all in favor? Opposed, none, seeing none. It's approved. Okay. Public comment on closed session items. Is there any public comment on a closed session item? Okay, we will. Adjourn to closed session. Yeah. Where is? Yeah.
We can stay here.
Yeah. Here's all the. I think so.
You went to maybe.